Welcome to Thoughts That Matter. Tonight's episode is from our Letting Go series, a collection of quiet monk stories about releasing what no longer needs to be held. As you listen, there's nothing you need to understand or remember. You may simply rest, breathe softly, and allow the stories to pass like clouds. If these calm stories help you find rest, you're welcome to subscribe. Your support helps this space remain peaceful and ad-free. Now, let the night slow down and allow letting go to happen naturally. The rope that was never tied. Long ago, in a quiet valley surrounded by low mountains and slow-moving clouds, there lived a young man named Sato. He was known in his village as hard-working and thoughtful, but also restless. No matter how much he achieved, his mind was always tight, pulled by worries, regrets, and fears that never seemed to loosen. Sato often felt as if something was holding him back, as though an invisible rope were tied around his chest. He could not see it, but he felt its pull every day. When he walked, his steps were heavy. When he rested, his thoughts raced. When he smiled, the smile faded quickly. One evening, after a long day of work, Sato decided to visit a nearby monastery. It was said that an old monk lived there, one who spoke little, but whose words stayed with people for a lifetime. The monk was sitting outside, watching the sky change colors as the sun set. He did not look up when Sato arrived. "Master," Sato said after bowing, "I feel bound. Something is holding me back, but I don't know what it is. I try harder every day, yet I feel tighter inside." The monk remained silent for a moment. Then he stood up slowly and walked a short distance away. "Follow me," he said. They walked until they reached an old wooden post near the path. The monk picked up a rope lying on the ground and loosely wrapped it around the post, letting the ends fall freely. "Pull," the monk said. Sato pulled on the rope. It moved easily. Confused, he pulled harder, but still, the rope came away without resistance. The monk smiled faintly. "This rope," he said, "was never tied." Sato frowned. "But why did it feel tight?" The monk looked at him calmly. "Because you believed it was." They returned to the monastery and sat down again. The night had grown quiet, and the sound of insects filled the air. "You are not bound by the past," the monk continued. "You are holding it. You are not trapped by fear. You are gripping it. The rope you struggle against is not tied to anything. You are the one pulling." Sato sat very still. For the first time, he noticed how tense his own hands felt, how tightly he was holding on to thoughts of mistakes, expectations, and imagined futures. "But how do I let go?" he asked softly. The monk replied, "First, notice that your hands are clenched. Then allow them to open." That night, Sato returned home slowly. He did not feel suddenly free. The rope did not vanish, but something had changed. Each time his thoughts tightened, he remembered the post, the loose rope, and the simple truth. Not everything that feels binding is truly tied. Some things only ask to be released. And as days passed, Sato began to loosen, not all at once, but gently, breath by breath. The monk who dropped the bowl. Long ago, in a mountain monastery hidden by pine trees and morning mist, there lived a monk who was known for his discipline. He woke before dawn, ate in silence, and carried his begging bowl with great care. To him, the bowl was more than an object. It was part of his identity as a monk. Every day he cleaned it carefully, wrapped it in cloth, and guarded it as he walked the narrow mountain paths. He feared losing it, cracking it, or being without it even for a moment. One morning the abbot called him forward. "Today," the abbot said, "you will walk to the village without holding your bowl." The monk hesitated. "But master," he replied, "what if I need it? What if something happens?" The abbot simply smiled. "Then you will meet that moment when it arrives." Reluctantly, the monk obeyed. He walked down the path, his hands feeling strangely empty. With every step, his mind filled with worry. He imagined hunger, mistakes, and failure. His thoughts were louder than his footsteps. Halfway down the mountain, he heard a sudden sound behind him. The bowl, still wrapped in cloth, had slipped from his shoulder and fallen onto the stones. It cracked. The monk froze. For a long moment, he did not move. Then something unexpected happened. The tightness in his chest softened. His breath slowed. The bowl was broken. And yet, he was not. He realized then that he had been carrying more than a bowl. He had been carrying fear of loss, of imperfection, of not being enough without what he held. When he returned to the monastery, the abbot looked at the broken bowl and said gently, "What did you lose today?" The monk bowed. "Only what I was afraid to let go of." That evening, he ate his meal from a simple wooden cup. It tasted the same. And for the first time in a long while, his hands were light. The weight of unspoken words. Long ago, in a quiet valley surrounded by low hills and tall grass, there lived a monk who rarely spoke. He was kind, attentive, and always present. Yet many felt a quiet heaviness around him, as if something remained unsaid. Each morning, he swept the temple grounds in silence. Each evening, he sat beneath the old fig tree, watching the sky change colors. His life appeared peaceful, but inside his heart was crowded. Years earlier, before becoming a monk, he had lived with his family in a distant village. There were words he had never spoken, apologies delayed, gratitude withheld, anger swallowed and buried. He believed silence meant peace. One afternoon, an elderly teacher visited the temple. As they walked together, the teacher noticed the monk struggling to carry a sack of rice. It was not large, yet the monk's shoulders sagged beneath it. "May I ask," the teacher said gently, "what makes this sack so heavy?" The monk answered honestly, "I do not know. Others carry heavier loads." The teacher stopped and opened the sack. Inside was rice and stones. "Why are these here?" the teacher asked. The monk stared, confused. "I never put them there." The teacher nodded. "Stones appear when things are carried too long." That evening, the monk sat alone beneath the fig tree. For the first time, he did not push his thoughts away. He allowed memories to rise, faces, voices, moments where words waited but never came. He saw then that silence is not always stillness. Sometimes it is weight. The next morning, he wrote letters he would never send. He spoke words aloud to no one. He bowed toward the past, not to return to it, but to release it. When he lifted the sack again, it felt lighter. The stones were gone. From that day forward, the monk still chose silence, but no longer out of fear. His quiet was spacious, not heavy, clear, not crowded, and those who met him felt it. Sometimes, what we carry is not what we say, but what we never allowed ourselves to say at all. The leaf that let go. Long ago, at the edge of a quiet monastery, there stood an old tree. Its branches stretched wide over a stone path where monks walked slowly each morning, their footsteps soft and unhurried. Through many seasons, the tree had watched them pass. In spring, it offered shade. In summer, shelter from the sun. And in autumn, it let its leaves fall gently to the ground. But one leaf did not fall. It clung tightly to a high branch, even as the air grew colder and the sky turned pale. The wind whispered to the leaf, "It is time." The leaf trembled but held on. "If I let go," it thought, "I will disappear." Below the tree, a young monk noticed the single leaf still holding fast, while all the others had returned to the earth. Each day, he paused beneath it. Each day, the leaf remained. One evening, the monk sat at the base of the tree and looked up. "You are still holding on," he said softly, as if the leaf could hear him. The wind stirred again, stronger this time. The branch shook. The leaf felt fear rise within it. It remembered the warmth of summer, the safety of the branch, the certainty of staying where it was. Letting go felt like loss. The night grew colder. The leaf felt its strength weakening, not because it was falling, but because it was holding. Holding against the wind, holding against change, holding against what was already happening. And in that moment, something within the leaf softened. It loosened its grip. Not all at once, just enough. And then, it fell. The fall was quiet, gentle. The leaf did not vanish. It did not break. It landed softly on the earth, resting among countless others that had already arrived. For the first time in a long while, the leaf felt peace. No effort, no fear, no holding. The monk watched as the leaf came to rest. He bowed his head. Later, he shared the moment with his teacher. "I thought letting go meant losing something," the monk said. "But it seemed like relief." The teacher smiled. "Letting go is not giving up," he said. "It is trusting that you no longer need to hold what is already leaving." Tonight, you may be holding something too. A thought, a memory, a worry about what comes next. You do not need to force it away. You do not need to fight it. Like the leaf, you can loosen your grip, just a little. Let your breath carry you downward. Let your body rest into the moment. Nothing is being taken from you. You are simply allowing yourself to rest where you already belong. And like the leaf on the earth, you may find peace waiting there. The thought that would not stay. Long ago, in a quiet monastery, a monk struggled with one persistent thought. No matter how still he sat, it returned again and again. He tried to push it away. He tried to replace it with calmer thoughts. But the more he tried, the louder it became. One evening, he went to his teacher. "My mind will not be quiet," he said. The teacher led him to a pond and dropped a stone into the water. Ripples spread outward. "Make the water still," the teacher said. The monk reached out, but his touch only caused more waves. The teacher smiled. Thoughts are the same, he said. When you interfere, they grow. When you leave them alone, they fade. The next morning, the monk sat again. The thought returned. This time he did nothing. He noticed it and let it pass. Tonight, you may notice thoughts too. You do not need to chase them away. You do not need to hold them. Let them come. Let them go. Like ripples on water, they will settle on their own. And in that stillness, rest begins. The man who released the past. Long ago, there lived a man who carried his past everywhere he went. No one could see it, but it weighed heavily on him. Old mistakes. Words he wished he had not spoken. Moments he wished he could change. Each memory returned like a quiet ache. One day, the man visited a monk known for his wisdom. "I cannot move forward," the man said. "My past follows me wherever I go." The monk listened carefully, then picked up a stone from the ground and placed it in the man's hands. "Hold this," the monk said. The stone was not heavy at first. They stood in silence. Minutes passed. The man's arms began to tremble. "This hurts," he said. The monk nodded. "You are free to put it down." The man hesitated. "But this stone is mine," he said. "I've carried it for so long." The monk spoke gently. "Just because you have carried something does not mean you must continue." Slowly, the man placed the stone on the ground. His arms relaxed. His breath softened. For the first time in years, he felt light. "Your past is the same," the monk said. "It exists, but it does not need to be carried. Tonight, you may be holding something too. A memory, a regret, a moment that has already passed. You do not need to erase it. You only need to stop holding it. Let it rest. And as you do, allow yourself to rest as well." The knot that loosened itself. Long ago, a monk walked through a quiet village carrying a small rope. The rope was tightly knotted. Each time he tried to untie it, his fingers moved faster, pulling harder. But the knot only tightened. A villager watching nearby spoke up. "Pull harder," he said. "That is how knots are undone." The monk smiled but said nothing. He sat down beneath a tree and placed the rope in his lap. Instead of pulling, he loosened his hands. He studied the knot quietly. He breathed. Slowly, without force, the rope began to relax. One loop softened, then another, until the knot quietly came undone. The villager was surprised. "You didn't do anything," he said. The monk nodded. "Some knots are tightened by effort," he replied. "They loosen when we stop pulling. Tonight, you may feel tied in knots too, by thoughts, by worries, by trying too hard to fix what hurts. You do not need to struggle. Loosen your breath. Soften your body. What tightens with effort often loosens with rest. And as the knot releases, sleep can arrive naturally. The bag that was too heavy. Long ago, in a quiet village at the edge of a forest, there lived a young monk. Every morning, he would walk to the monastery carrying a large bag filled with scrolls, stones, and other items he thought he might need for the day. The bag was heavy. Every step strained his shoulders, but he never thought to lighten it. One day, A senior monk noticed him struggling. "You carry too much," the senior monk said gently. "I need these things," the young monk replied. "They might be important." The senior monk nodded, but said nothing more. The next morning, the young monk set off again, his bag weighing him down as usual. Along the path, the wind shook the trees, and he stumbled over a root. The bag pulled him to the ground. He sat for a moment, catching his breath, and noticed the beauty of the path around him. The morning light on the leaves, the birds beginning their song, the fresh air filling his lungs. He realized he had been so focused on carrying everything, he had missed all of this. The young monk set the bag down and looked at it. "Do I really need all of this?" he asked himself. He opened the bag and examined its contents. Many things were unnecessary, many were forgotten, and some had no real use at all. Slowly, he removed the extra weight, keeping only what was truly needed. When he lifted the bag again, it was lighter. His steps were easier. He felt the path beneath his feet instead of the weight pulling him down. From that day on, he walked more lightly. He still carried a bag, but only what mattered. And with each step, he found more joy in the journey itself. Tonight, you may be carrying your own heavy bag, worries, regrets, expectations, or unnecessary thoughts. You do not need to hold on to everything. Set it down. Let go of what is not needed. Carry only what is necessary. And with a lighter heart, you can move freely, rest peacefully, and notice the quiet beauty around you. The river that carried nothing. Long ago, in a quiet valley surrounded by soft hills, a river flowed gently toward the sea. It did not rush. It did not struggle. It carried only water. Each day, leaves fell into the river. Branches drifted across its surface. Stones rested briefly in its path. Yet the river never held on. Whatever entered, it accepted and quietly released. One evening, a traveler walked beside the river. He had journeyed far and felt tired in both body and mind. "Why do you carry nothing?" he asked the river. "Other rivers seem heavy with what they collect." The river flowed on in silence. Later, the traveler met a monk sitting near the water. "The river seems empty," the traveler said, "and yet it continues without effort." The monk smiled gently. "It is light because it does not cling," he said. "It trusts what needs to pass." The traveler watched the river again. It did not push anything away. It did not chase anything downstream. It simply flowed. "That is why it remains clear," the monk added. "When we stop carrying what no longer belongs, clarity returns on its own." Tonight, you may be carrying too much. Old thoughts, unfinished worries, moments already gone. You do not need to solve them now. Like the river, you can let them pass. Carry only this breath, only this moment. And as the river teaches, when you carry nothing extra, rest becomes natural. The hand that opened. Long ago, in a quiet village near a small monastery, there lived a monk known for his gentle presence. People often came to him, carrying worries they could not release. One evening, as the sun lowered, a visitor approached with his hands tightly clenched. "I feel trapped," the man said. "I hold on to too much, and I don't know how to let go." The monk looked calmly at the man's hands. "Open them," he said softly. The man tried, but his fingers trembled. "They are used to holding," he replied. The monk placed a small pebble in the man's palm and asked him to close his hand around it. At first, it felt light and harmless, but as moments passed, the grip grew tense. The hand began to ache. "You may open your hand now," the monk said gently. When the man released the pebble, relief flowed through his fingers and up his arm. The monk spoke quietly. "What you hold too tightly becomes pain," he said. "What you release allows ease." The man stood in silence, noticing the softness in his open hand. He realized how much effort he used simply to keep holding. Tonight, you may be gripping something too. A thought from earlier. An expectation for tomorrow. A feeling that does not need to stay. You do not need to push it away. Simply open your hand. Let your breath loosen. Let your body rest. In opening, peace enters naturally. Thank you for spending this quiet time with thoughts that matter. If rest has found you, you may let the stories drift away. If this episode helped you feel lighter, consider sharing it with someone you care about, so they too may rest more easily. May your night be gentle, and may letting go feel natural.